Although it may seem confusing and complicated, mathematicians actually invented this whole order of operations thing to make solving operations less confusing and complicated. So, what is it all about? Well, order of operations is really the order of operations is a way of prioritizing, making priorities in what do you solve first, so that everybody in the world solves one expression the same way. Let's say, for example, you had 2 times 5 plus 3 minus 2. You could say, well, you have 2 and then you multiply it by 5 and then you add 3 minus 2, which would be, well, 2 times 5. So 2 times 5 plus 1, so that would be 6. So, well, 6, 2 times 6, and that's 12. And then some guy, the other way across the world is going to say, well, no, you have 2 times 5, so that's 10, plus 3 minus 2, plus 1, and he's going to get 11. And then some other guy is going to tell you, wait a minute, guys, no, you have 2, and you multiply it by 5 plus 3, so that'd be 2 times 8, minus, and then you subtract the 2, so you get 16 minus 2, which is 14. And everybody would be getting different answers for something that is ultimately very basic. So they decided that they were going to get a convention, a sort of order everybody had to respect, so that everybody around the world solves, in theory, everything the same way, and in theory, gets the same answer. So the first thing you solve whenever you have an expression in front of you are the brackets, or the grouping signs. Grouping signs. So that's brackets. Anything like, so that'd be brackets or square brackets, or the absolute value comes first, or even the square root. What is under the square root is done first, or what is on a fraction. The top of the fraction is done first, and then bottom of the fraction, and then you divide the whole top of the fraction by the whole bottom of the fraction. So that's the first thing you do. The next thing is exponents. Exponents come second, so exponents. So if ever you have an exponent, that's second exponents. So that would be anything to the power of 2, or anything to the power of 3, or on and on. It could be anything to the power of 159. And then you get multiplication and division. And those are equally prioritative, if that's a word. Multiplication and division. And so those are equally prioritative, and that's, well, multiplication and division. And if ever you have just those, you just solve it from left to right. And then you get addition and subtraction. Addition and subtraction. And that's, well, plus and minus. We all know plus and minus. And again, if ever you have an expression with just additions and subtractions, you have to do it from left to right. You just go through it from left to right. Okay, so let's do a couple of exercises, and let's put into use this whole complicated business here. So, we have 2 minus 3 times 4 minus 2 squared plus 5 times 4. Now let's go down our little list. Do we have any brackets or grouping signs? We don't have any of those. Do we have any exponents? We do. 2 squared. Here it is. So what we're going to do is we're just going to rewrite exactly the same thing, but we're just going to replace 2 squared by 4. 2 times 2, 4. So it's exactly the same. 2 minus 3 times 4 minus 4 instead of 2 squared. It's exactly the same thing, plus 5 times 4. So all we did is replace that 2 squared by 4. The next thing we're going to look for is multiplication and division. And we only have multiplication here. We have 3 times 4 and we have 5 times 4. And those are next in priority. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put them in brackets. And you can put them in brackets, or you can do spaces or underline them or highlight them, just to know that this has to be done first. So we're just going to rewrite it exactly the same way. solving the multiplications first because we know those are more prioritative. So that's 2 minus 3 times 4, that's 12, minus 4, plus 5 times 4, and that's 20. And now we have addition and subtraction. And what we're going to do is we're going to solve it from left to right because we don't want to get confused. We just do it from left to right. So we have 2 minus 12, and that's negative 10. So far we have negative 10. Minus 4, it's negative 14, plus 20, and that's 6. So it is equal to 6. And this is our answer. So I encourage you to use lots of steps and do it step by step by step to make sure you don't zap something and you don't do a little mistake here and there because you're trying to go quickly. Take the time to write it all down and make sure you do things in the correct order.